Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those who are joining virtually. My name is Vida Schmidt. I'm CEO of Carrier Community, CC in short. You're all very warmly welcome to the day one of the CC Submarine Summit in this beautiful city, Lisbon. Thank you for joining us. Myself and my team are honored to host you at the premier event. It has been nothing short of awe-inspiring to watch a telecommunication world step closer towards a sense of normality over the past few months and fully embrace further opportunities to reconnect, touch base, and share knowledge across company and national lines at events like this one around the world. I'm delighted to see many familiar faces as well as some new ones. This is Carrier Community first event with a special focus on submarine cables, and Lisbon is the perfect place to discuss all critical topics related to submarine networks, data centers, the digital cloud, and the wholesale industry. Our focus throughout this casual roundtable discussion will be firmly rooted in today's subsea ecosystem, bringing together global subsea players to discuss what works and what does not. We hope that you all leave this event with a clear and universal perspective on panel topics and from individual discussions alike. Of course, we would not have managed to be here without the support of Equinix. So thank you to Carlos and the rest of the Equinix team sitting here and not being with us here today for this tremendous support and trust. I would like also to warmly thank our other official sponsors for CC Submarine 22, Link, our silver sponsor, and our associate sponsors Infinera, Omantel, Turk Telecom International, ICEP, Global Parker, and Synstec, and others. Thank you also to all our official speakers, panelists for taking their valuable time and being with us in this event to share their insight and knowledge with all of us. I encourage you to make use of networking breaks throughout the day and the access to online meeting planner to schedule one-to-one meetings. This evening, my team and myself, and we would like to invite you all to join us for our evening networking receptions here in this hotel, complete with food and drinks and DJ at the Verbasco Hotel. Thank you to Equinix and Infinera for hosting this evening reception. I won't hold you for much longer. Please enjoy beautiful Lisbon, and I look forward to hearing some great discussions and making some new connections. Thank you for your time. And now I would like to pass on the microphone to Carlos Paulinho, Managing Director at Equinix in Portugal, to give his welcome speech and officially open the Submarine Summit in Lisbon.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's a huge pleasure to be here. Very proud of all the work that we are being doing with Carrier Community. It really helps us to put Portugal on the spotlight and really bring you all to this beautiful city that I hope you enjoy. I have prepared a small presentation. I don't know if you can support me on shows. Oh, thank you so much. It's here, no?
Okay, I'll try to share it.
Sure.
Maybe like that.
There we go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I prepare a small presentation. I hope you enjoy, and really to make some context and really show an answer to some why we are here, why Portugal, why this moment. I hope you can find some answers during my presentation. Why Submarine Summit? And continuing on the words of Vida, really, why are we doing this? There is a very nice and simple equation that you see here. Basically, we know that increasing the subsea cable capacity, it will lead to lower latencies, it will lead to an internet bandwidth increase, and in the end, it will for sure lower costs and bring more people to use internet. This, as the final outcome, has two major goals for sure. One of them is really high consumer welfare, and that's what we are trying to promote to the world with this capacity. And it has also a very important impact on the GDP. There is this very important study that I'm mentioning here, but there are several others that, for instance, in Portugal, the impact of cables is superior to 500 million euros impact on GDP. It's something that probably, because cables are too much on the dark sea, we don't see this effect so easy, but the truth is that is what brings us all together and really looking for growing this industry. Why Portugal? Well, Portugal is not so well known international yet. I believe it's yet, but the truth is we have a long story, and I will start by showing you a global network diagram that probably one not so used to see, but this is something like the global network like it was more than a century ago. The truth is Portugal, and if you see on the left side, Carcavelos, it's 2 train stations away from where we are, was already on the map of telecommunications more than a century ago. Portugal was really, has been since the beginning of international telecommunications, a capital point on the global networks map. And also an interesting fact, Portugal was the first country to have direct fiber connectivity to all continents. It's really a long story of the importance of our location, the importance and the capacity of bringing all together in a spot where we can really interconnect the world. So this was the past. How are we today? Basically, Lisbon is already a key subsea cable hubs in the world, that's no doubt. And we connect something like 11 cable landing stations. And we are connecting directly to more than 91 landing stations around the world in 62 countries. Regarding the market itself, there are powerful key drivers that really show that Portugal is the right place to be. Probably starting by the end with the talent pool of human resources, with high skill and English proficiency, with very notable events that happen in innovation in the country. And in the last 10 years, we have been moving up and scaling up the ladder from being probably one of the less innovative countries in Europe to being one of the top in the list. So we have really the right environment to be discussing cable and submarine cables and Lisbon and here in this event. So what about the future? Well, we know several projects. The names are already known, and the truth is a link, for instance, already fully working and really connecting Portugal directly with South America. Equinix already, I believe, weeks away from being switched on. To Africa Medusa, the Camring, a very interesting project, also more domestic, but also trying to open the window for a platform to attract new cables to this geography. The future itself, it's like I'm stressing on the title. We are going from 8 terabytes to 880 terabytes. It's what it's projected from the current projects that we already know, and we know that are going to happen. There are several other projects on the drawing board yet, but I believe we will have fantastic news in the near future. And why now? That's probably the other question. Well, no doubt the growth of internet subsea capacity have known such a great momentum. I believe we haven't seen this for the last 20 years, and it's growing in all the major routes. There's no doubt that the Atlantic is really the key focus of the industry for now, and Africa is for sure the window of opportunity is open. It's right now what we are seeing with the major capacities being deployed to Africa, being with the To Africa cable, with Equiano, with Main One, with so many cables that are really serving what is I believe the green field of opportunity, the huge opportunity that we have in front of us. It's not happening only in Portugal, and I believe the southwest region of Europe has a major importance on these new trends, and new locations that are really growing and expressing this type of behavior can be like we are discussing here in Lisbon, Barcelona, Genoa, Bordeaux, new locations that are really becoming also very important locations to land extremely large capacities. Not only new locations, but also new technologies, and it's extremely interesting because 10 years ago, 5 terabytes design was considered a huge cable. Right now, 300 it's a common cable. It's really the order of magnitude that things change. It's so impressive, and thanks to the technologies, thanks to Infinera, thanks to all of you that really developed new technologies to make this happen and really connect the world at the speed that we all need. For you to have an idea of magnitude, this is some of the projects I was mentioning more on the southwest part of Europe, and this is some of the projects that are already up and running or really on the line to come and to interconnect this geography with the rest of the world. I would like to show you also something of what's next. What do we think of the role of Portugal, and what can we expect in the future? And I use this graphic, and I just ask you to have a look at it. I use Marseille, but I could use other geographies like Djibouti, like several other geographies. But this graphic for me, it's very important and can show exactly what could be our way in the future. The truth is, if you look at Portugal right now, we are indeed a digital corridor, but we are connecting Spain with the rest of the world. What we are seeing right now is, with all the investments that are being made to all the other locations, what we will see is, and I'm truly sure that on the next 5 years, we will see that we will be more close to what we already see in Marseille. And what do we need to really achieve this goal? In my point, to go from a digital corridor to an international hub and an international data hub, we already have really carrier neutral facilities. We are in Portugal for at least 20 years, so we are here, and there are new players, so capacity is being raised. The geographical location, no doubt about it. All the part of interconnection, we are already having the capacity to interconnect here absolutely all the major tier 1 players that serve the world, the digital world. So basically, in the chain, sorry, just to, okay, there we go. Sorry. In this chain where we have the access infrastructure, the content infrastructure to really build the digital hub, what we believe we should aim our goal right now is to really attract data, to be a data repository, to be the location where we storage, process, and really deliver in all directions, and trying to avoid that trombone effect of things going to Amsterdam, to Paris, to UK, and get back once again to Portugal or to serve the region. I believe if we go on this track, we are really on the right track for the digital transformation, and Portugal has all the main conditions. Like I said, I believe we tick all the boxes to really become one of the most important hubs in the world. About Equinix, I don't know if you know, but we were founded in '98, and our name really derives from the idea of equal, neutral, and interconnection. And it's really the base of our soul and our vision, and it's what we are also trying to really expand to the subsea industry, being on data centers closer to the shore to directly receive cables, being on interconnecting absolutely all locations all around the world. Well, this was 24 years ago. Right now we are around 10,000 customers, and we have unmatched uptime, and like you see, 220 international data centers all around the world. Regarding coming to more to the topic that brings us to this particular session, new business models. I'm truly sorry because the slide is too much text, but I will try to summarize. What are we doing in Equinix ecosystem? So this new termination model, that is something that we have been delivering to the market for quite a few years. Really, the CLS itself, it's not that important anymore. Before, cables connect between CLSs, now they connect between data centers. They need to reach the rich environment that you have in a data center, and really our capacity to handle all the equipments in a more agnostic configuration directly in the IBX. So basically, being the PFE, being the SLT, really to be directly in the data center immediately uses the capacity to interconnect with absolutely everybody. Private interconnecting via cross connections. This is traditional. This is us forever, you know, and then since our beginning. And the idea of really have private cross connections that usually are difficult or almost impossible to do at a cable landing station, really to do it in a neutral environment without any type of restrictions, and eliminate delays and extra costs of having to build backhauls to a major data center. I will come first to this last one, the Cloud Exchange. Cloud Exchange is a model that we are proposing also to subsea operators, where you can offer to the customers a direct and secure access in real time and in a self-service provisioning mode. So basically, you really have a more clear and easy way to reach to your customers, and without all the complexity that was common before. Finally, the edge. Basically, we are talking about continental edge, really making data centers close to the coastline, and in Equinix, we are really investing on it, and that's for sure one of the points where we see more value bringing to the entire subsea ecosystem. I can bring here some examples. For instance, in several regions of the world. The first one, it's in the US. Where we have really old equipment already in the IBX, and it is connecting directly, let's say, submarine cable between data center to data center. Another example for sure here in Asia Pacific, where we have exactly the same solution. And right now we have developed two new data centers, one of them in Genoa to handle any cable coming in the Mediterranean, and the second one in Bordeaux, where we really have the capacity to land new cables coming from the Atlantic. Last but not least, of course, now, as you probably all know, with the acquisition of Main One, we have now the presence directly in Nigeria, in Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire, also with the same approach of being really close to the subsea ecosystem. LISBON One is the IBX that really now interconnects all the cables that land in Portugal. All of them are really interconnected directly, and it's a single point of connection for everybody to interconnect with joining the terrestrial and the subsea world. It's a very, like I said, high dense interconnected location with 40 plus carriers, 5 IX platforms, and with high compliance with all the international standards. Like I said, approximately 12 submarine systems are really reaching our location. And I believe these large-scale deployments on the submarine cables are really going to happen in a large measure in Portugal, being one of the, I should say, the last frontiers of Europe before reaching West Africa, before reaching South America. And we will see for sure new projects arriving and selecting Portugal. Like I said, we have it all. So my warm welcome also to new projects and new interconnections between Portugal and the world. I want to thank you once again. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you.
Yes, I have sound. So also from me, guys, so a very warm welcome here in actually not only Lisbon but also Cascais, which is well, an amazing small village. Used to be a small fishing town, but now it became such a beautiful place to be here. So Carlos, thank you so much for having the presentation.
Any doubts?
Maybe we have doubts, but I'm gonna check with the audience first. So does anybody have a question for Carlos? Don't be shy. I know it's in the morning. There you go.
We have there one.
Thank you.
Please.
What is the idea of purchasing main one? I mean, Equinix already offer these connectivity services between the data center in the same region as Frankfurt, Sao Paulo, Azure. Is Equinix going to offer as well long-haul connectivity between?
I can address it. Thank you so much. It's a very interesting question. Indeed, the acquisition of Main One is really the first step on our entrance in Africa. It was for sure selected for being an extraordinary company starting in 2010 and really with this expressive growth. And in a country that have something like 200 million inhabitants, so it's a very interesting market for everybody, that's for sure. With the acquisition comes the fiber. The truth is we already have some services, like I mentioned, Equinix Fabric, that interconnects all the locations that we have, the major locations around the world. What for sure we will deliver is exactly the same service, being able to be delivered directly from Lisbon to Ghana or to Lagos in Nigeria or to Cote d'Ivoire. So basically, we are not foreseeing, at least yet, the idea of selling submarine capacity, but we already have a product to interconnect everybody. And when we say everywhere, we are trying to be as much everywhere as possible. So Main One is exactly that expansion. I hope I have answered. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Any other questions for Carlos? Don't be shy. Bartosz, maybe you can.
Thanks, Carlos. Good morning, everyone. Equinix Lisbon 2, for when?
It's going to?
Equinix Lisbon 2, for when?
For when? Well, we are seeing such a dramatic increase in demand in the market that, of course, we have everything prepared to serve the market, to really deliver the capacity that we are seeing now on everybody's pipeline. Like Eric was commenting outside, we are happy to be in this industry. It's really one of the industries that pass through all these strange moments in humankind, and we thrive, and we are growing at an incredible speed. The truth is, we are already, I will not give you exact date yet, but we are already accelerating all our expansions and growing, and we have several other plans to expand our operations in Portugal.
I'm just looking at your face if you're happy with the answer.
But if you
Carlos,
want to
well
buy,
done.
if you want to buy, I'm outside, okay?
You know what he just mentioned? Let's take this outside. And we know what it means, right? Any other questions? So thank you so much. Any other questions for Carlos? If not, then Carlos, I would like to thank you very much for your presentation. I'll give you a big warm applause for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Warm welcome.
And if I may invite you to come sit with us and to join the panel, because we, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss actually, as Carlos already mentioned, the new business models and investment strategies to meet the cable future demand. That's out of my mouth now, right? So, and with that, I would give quickly a minute for the other panelists to introduce themselves, because Carlos, we know, the rest we know as well, but I'll give them a quick minute to introduce themselves. Maybe Diego, if I may start with you.
Good morning.
Microfono. It's on.
It's on. Okay. Good morning. My name is Diego Teotta. I'm the head of the international business for Retelit, an Italian company that is operating in the infrastructure and submarine space.
Did you just mention an Italian company?
Yeah, Italian company based in Italy, but of course our ownership is currently Spanish, Asterion Industrial Fund.
You see, coming close to Lisbon. No? Thank you for that, Diego, and Augusto, welcome, please.
Well, good morning, all. Actually, I'm here a little bit out of the theme in the table. I'm here on the other side, usually of the barricade, which is the regulatory part. But here we understand that regulation has to have a different role in terms of national and international connectivity. So we are very much enrolled on creating the conditions for all the things that we are going to hear here to happen. So that will be my approach.
And we're so happy, Augusto, that we hear that Anacom is here to support us, right? Fantastic. So let us get into it. And maybe, Diego, if I can start with you. I mean, new investment opportunities and growth submarine market demands. Mouthful, what do we see around us? What's there? Can you give us a quick overview?
I believe that when we speak about or we talk about the submarine, we mainly focus on the wet part. But today, the opportunities, especially with the new open cables, where the fiber count dramatically increase from 2, 3, 4 to 16 or 24 dark fiber pairs, and then I have some points about your presentation, requires a lot of investment on the land side. So it's not given as default as it was in the past when you were landing a 3, 4, 5 dark fiber pair cable. Just one dark fiber pair was enough for the backhaul. Now the new cables requires high quality fiber. They requires often, the case of Genoa mentioned it before, to be linked to data centers not next to the beach, but perhaps few hundred kilometers away. And so that's an opportunity of investment for the infrastructure provider on land. The other opportunities has been already mentioned clearly by Equinix, that in fact is creating and working in a specialized way on new data center designed to be landing point and hosting point for the traffic. But there are also other points of investment that are, for instance, for the manufacturer. Today, we are seeing on the market a lack of ships. There are not enough ships to lay in the new cable.
You have to, if you order today, it takes you 36 months to be maybe
served. Maybe.
If you pay enough, because even the price is a tenfold, roughly.
Correct, because and then there is another type of investment that perhaps is more soft and that can lead to some of the question afterwards. That is the cultural investment. This industry is sexy, is fantastic, is good. But if we look at the face, we are all old. There is no new blood that is.
I'm not old. I really don't know who he's talking about, but
we don't agree with that point.
Where was the Botox?
No, there is no culture, no know-how in the new generation to take the ride on this system. And last point is investment. The investment, I believe that submarine cable system forced this new wave, forced everybody in the industry to move from a 3 years horizon again to think long term, because everything that is related to a submarine cable system, from the rack in the data center till the conduit in the beach, shall be planned for the next 20-25 years. And it's not an easy exercise for telecom that are forced to look at the next quarters for the revenues, or small operators that are used to 1 year, 2 years results.
So are you giving the salespeople then an easy ride or what? I mean, I know you're pushing them. All right, thank you so much, Diego, for your view on this one. Carlos, on the investment side, and especially on the submarine, what is your take on that one?
Yeah, what we see is really investments being made by major DOTs. That's the major part of the new cables that are arriving. No doubt that, like I expressed, the idea of really interconnecting directly to the data centers, it's one key point that we are seeing everybody taking the same road. I believe major investments would have to be made really like you were saying in shore, in the land, to really couple with this extra capacity that we are see coming from the subsea cables. I believe that during 20 years the market was numb, more or less, and we were building capacity. Computing capacity, data center capacity was growing faster. Now I believe the roles are almost, although the other way around, you know. So I believe both have to go together end by end, and I don't see it happen yet, because cables are really making a huge jump in what regards with capacity, in what regards with new locations, new connections. So I see a lot of investment in that area. Data centers will have to follow, and for sure, more and more investments in routes that probably we haven't think 10 or 15 years. Link is an example with the direct connection between Portugal and South America. Angola cables is another example with using the South Atlantic to really interconnect the world. So I believe we will see more of a mesh configuration, mainly on the Atlantic, and larger and larger investments coming. At least is my perception.
All right, Augusto. The gentleman just mentioned, yes, that there are new investment opportunities, and we see the submarine cables. We see everything growing, although we have an issue maybe on the dry side. And let me call it like this. I mean, the Genoa Milano thing. So how do you see it as Anacom? Where do you see let's say the opportunities, and mainly the investment opportunities?
Well, actually, we are seeing exactly what Carlos told us about, the deep connection between data centering and the connectivity capacity. In the broader sense, what we see, and we always saw, is that there is a new geopolitical platform aligning, and what we know is every time that happens, also the geo strategy also changed, especially in the communication area. So that we have seen before, that I believe that we are going to see. It's easy to understand that Europe has to solve the UK Brexit question, not only because most of those cables would need a new approach in the next few years, but also because of this new sovereignty question that Europe has to solve. We are seeing the European policy in terms, for instance, of what we call the main data gateways for Europe, concentrating on 4 axes, where Portugal clearly will support one of those axes, the Atlantic X. We have been seeing several movements that bring new opportunities. For instance, the CAM, the Portuguese ring connecting Açores, Madeira, and Portugal, that if you think about it, you can see that if it's created properly, it can transform Azores in a hub connecting the Northern Europe to the Northern America to Europe with a much lower cost. So there are plenty new trends that we have to solve the density of Marseille, as it was showed there. Portugal was understood for a long time as outskirt country, considering the map of Europe. But if you see it in terms of connectivity, you understand that actually Portugal is now central. It's a truly
Is it also because maybe the consortium model changed a little bit? Is that also the fact, because that was the main thing, let's call it orange, because that's what it is. You know, with the main guys, you know, going every time we go to Marseille, every time, you know, it's Marseille. Is it also because of the consortium model changed?
Exactly, and is also exactly because of the trend that we are seeing, that the main hyperscalers are concentrating on creating their own capacity, developing capacity for themselves to assure their capacity and to sell out the rest of the capacity.
Meta going to Genoa, no?
Exactly.
Yeah. Barcelona, yeah, yeah, exactly.
So we truly believe that low investment zone that we have just passed in the last 10 years is over. We see a lot of investment needed actually for the capacity that we need for the new digital strategy of Europe, for instance, and also obviously the interests of the bigger hyperscalers.
Yeah, because 125 terabits against 8 terabytes, as you presented, that's not balanced, right?
No.
No, you want more, right?
No, I want it all.
You want it all. That's strange. That's strange.
No, but I'm just complimenting
Yeah,
the
please.
words of my good fellow Augusto. Indeed, we are seeing the OTTs following the same trends as the first chart that I showed from 1 century ago, is really selecting and seeing Portugal as that point of connection, and it's that the main reason why we are seeing to Africa, we are seeing Equiano main one, so many cables interconnecting at this geography. I believe we had a major role on the east-west corridor before, because usually CMU-E3, for instance, it comes to Lisbon, and it really interconnects from the entire east side to the north-south digital corridor of the Atlantic. And right now it's not happening anymore. We saw Marseille having all that cables coming in, and right now everybody identifying Marseille as a single point of failure. So it's a risk, and we are seeing Genoa, Barcelona really gaining momentum, and on the other side, Bilbao and Bordeaux are 2 other locations that are really be growing faster than expected. I believe with the development of terrestrial networks all over the Iberian Peninsula, and really with the regulation and the collaboration of ANACOM and all the entities, we will be able to really bring to Lisbon, to Portugal, that point of interconnection between the several axes that we had before.
Yeah,
Let's see if that happens.
Yeah. Adding to all the opportunities, I would say, exactly because of this geostrategic new scene that we are seeing being created. For instance, the security question of the North Corridor, etc. Actually, Carlos talked about a study that is very interesting from Copenhagen Economics. But there is another study, more recent, about Portuguese connectivity. It's called Portugal, a hidden gem of connectivity, because it's not shown. It's not known that Portugal is having one of the best inland capacity, not only installed, but to be installed connecting Lisbon, for instance, or Portugal in general terms, because actually we are a very small connection platform due to our nature.
Education therefore is also very important
Exactly,
tool within
and
the strategy to bring it up.
Exactly, and that's the study that I would ask people to have a look on, because it's really interesting. We have one of the best capacity and quality connections in terms of inland connection.
Where can people find, whoever is interested, where can people find this study?
Well, I think in Lanacom there is a
On your
copy,
website.
but if you look for like Portugal, hidden gem of connectivity, you will find it very easily.
All right.
It was a study done by Deloitte, by the way.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. Okay. Organic growth. Yeah, I think we all agree that the organic growth, especially with the link towards Africa, where you of course invested in, is there. But as well, and that's also what you did, and that's what your mother company did, is actually on the inorganic growth. So on the M&A side. So do you think that large scale M&A activities contribute to the answer in finding more growth? Does M&A help? So the inorganic growth strategy.
I think it does, and it doesn't only produce an acceleration on growth, but also produce consistency on the delivery side. You know, so I believe we are already seeing it happen in several markets that are consolidating, and I think we will not see major differences on this one. It's for sure a driver for growth. In what respects with the submarine systems itself, what we are seeing is really a replacement, like we were discussing before. The peak of construction of new cables, the last one was 20 something years ago. So cables are really reaching the end of life. And what we are seeing is OTTs and new players and investments like entrepreneurs like Link or several other projects that are going to build their own capacity. I believe in new models, in a more open model. We all agree that the consortium model was extremely hard to manage. It was difficult sometimes to reach agreements, to really bring it to the market, to deliver the capacity. So if we consider this more wide open market, more open approach, more M&A in the sense of bringing consistency to this entire message, I truly believe it will be a driver, a key driver for growth, almost for sure.
Because coming towards Equinix, I mean, you didn't acquire, to say it nicely, main one in what is it, 3 markets? Yep. In Africa, not for nothing, because you believe there is the growth, right?
There's no doubt there. I believe at the current days, there is not a single player or stakeholder in our market that doesn't recognize that Africa is really the opportunity. Is really the we were talking something about Nigeria.
Do we know what's hitting us?
200 million people using mobile phones and wanted more. Mm-hmm. This is more than in the US.
And just starting, yeah?
And they're starting, and they're just starting. They are just discovering really what's behind. So I cannot even imagine in my wildest dreams what could be the future growth coming from these geographies. Mm-hmm. And I believe that a window that can somehow show us what's ahead, it's really the capacity of these new cables being built. And if you see going from 5 teras to 300 to serve Africa, you see what's really ahead of us.
Yeah, because what we do see now, and please, gentlemen, jump in. What we now see in Africa, of course, is that all the content, all the demand is going out of Africa, right? Yeah. The majority.
Yeah, but you saw the same thing in Europe. In Europe, you had something like the 4 flaps. In 4 flaps, like the 4 main markets, and basically all the traffic was doing trombone. Mm-hmm. I would send a mail to you here in Portugal, and the mail would go to Amsterdam, would go to, for sure, Frankfurt or London, and we'll get back to your mailbox. Mm-hmm. That was something that we saw the world moving ahead, and really you are seeing information spreading more to the edge, and you see it on the first ring and a huge growth on Spain. Now you are seeing exactly the same thing on Portugal, and it's expanding I believe that the same model will follow the exact trend of really going to these new geographies. There are, of course, a large number of challenges in these economies. We know that. So, and that is where I believe that Portugal can be that bridge to the future, serving exactly the capacity that is required, with latencies far lower than going to the main centers or to the UK or the US. That's my point of view.
Okay. Diego, looking into new business models, do we have to adjust our business models? And if so, what will change, or what needs to be changed?
Definitely, cable systems are not profitable by design.
Did you ever seen one?
Mainly they
Cut 14 in the old days, maybe?
probably the profit is coming again from dry, or from the fact that UTT may pay the main cable, and then the leftover capacity is the margin for the builder or for the operator. Also, a point before, subsea operator. Who are the subsea operator? Before they were the consortium. Now there is, for instance, I see my friend here called Zayo, EU Networks. They have cross-link cable and similar. So with the new open model, the new open cable model, everybody can easily be a subsea capacity operator. We will see a lot of new capacity operator. Where are coming the new business model? The new business model are coming from words that are hidden in the discussion we had, that are latency, resiliency, that are needed to have your mail next to you. They are needed to ensure that no geopolitical events are cutting you out of the internet, and so you need resiliency. You need low latency. There are applications for low latency, mainly in the finance, that are moving billions. There are applications on low latency that are moving even more billions. The gaming, that with the metaverse probably will grow more. So the new business model shall concentrate not on volumes, but on value, on values. On our cable system, on A1, we sell the same 10 gigabit are far different prices based on the application that is ending on the other side. So the same 10 gigabit can cost. So the value is all the consistency you mentioned before for the merger, about the merger and acquisition, that is built around the capacity. We do, for instance, media events. Media events, you need two links that are not submarine linked, but for media events, you need to be sharp. You need to have 100% availability. So the 10 gigabit for the media events can't cost the same of the 10 gigabit that you use for the peering. So what you are going to pay is not the capacity that is dramatically going down. You mentioned it again, 5 or 300 terabit, but the cost of the cable is actually the same. So this means that your capacity is costing you dozens of times less than the initial capacity. So the new business model shall concentrate on this. And again, also education. You don't pay for the backup until you lose all the data. So also the users of the capacity shall realize that resiliency, latency, good service have a price. It's not that the cost per bit is going to zero and is food just for the buyer side.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Augusto, do you agree with Diego? I mean, do you see a shift in business models, or do you think that we need to shift even more, or change even more?
I think we will shift even more. Yeah, we agree, at least partially. And actually, from the previous question, mergers and acquisitions, I think it's actually connected to, in the answer I'm going to give, which is Of course, as a regulator, we have opinions, but we don't have positions. So we are here to assure that whatever distort markets that appear from those events will be addressed properly. And obviously that we are concerned about what's going to happen when new relevant market power emerge from these new constellations. But we have talked about Africa, which is, I would say, absolutely strategical for us. And what we are seeing is that in these models, we have been seeing technologically and also in terms of business that the unilayer offers are over. So basically, you all always have several layers in overall business offer. And we are seeing new things happening, like relating the cable capacity, both inland and submarine, with the LEO satellite strategy. We are actually having an idea about what can happen in terms of quantum networks that are starting now to be tested as such, and bringing probably disruption that we cannot foresee. But definitely, we don't believe that the vertical kind of offers that we have been seeing will prevail for much longer. Basically, and that's why we are seeing Meta and Google, etc., doing the investments they are doing in the infrastructure. So I think who is just on the side of infrastructure has to do the same pathway, but on the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. And coming back to you, Diego, I don't want to, imagine if something would go wrong with Formula One as an event, right? I mean, latency and the best quality ever, if that's not there, we all look and
Events are generally speaking, yes, they are events or trading in the stock exchange.
Well,
hospitals,
if
or
you
military sites.
If you talk to the guys from BlackRock or from Vanguard, I mean, the two biggest investment guys in the world in the US, they have their own, whatever you have, triple, not redundant, triple, quadruple, what have you, just to have also that edge of that 1 millisecond of trading, which brings them the billions, right? So the importance is there, and that's not only dry, but that's also on the wet side. So it's.
Right. And also regarding the role of OTT in the business model and the investment, about what I mentioned as long-term planning for the markets has been, and is an opinion, by my point of view, been already done by the OTTs. Because compared to the carriers, they know the data. Most of the traffic that we are seeing on this cable is not human traffic, it's machine-to-machine traffic. It's very predictable if you have all the data. So what we always ask to ourselves, what will be the volumes and so on? We don't have the answers, they have it. And they have already planned for it. Mm-hmm. And so I do not see a lot of investment in the future where they are paying for the cable system, mm-hmm, for the entire infrastructure. I will see a future, because the cable system are becoming more important for geopolitical points. I see more a government involvement, or in the financing and in the regulation, that is not just ensuring that the market is equal, but ensuring that all the subjects working in a strategic asset like a submarine landing station or a unique land route are quote unquote nice to the government. So I see that this is going to change, especially in Europe. Until 5 years ago, it was like broadband. Mm-hmm. Submarine was seen as a broadband. Today there is a high level of attention either in the safety of the infrastructure and in the financing to build new infrastructure. Because, for instance, we have a lot of island. We are mentioning Croatia. Croatia needs a lot of connectivity in the island. There are parts of Europe that are far away, La Réunion, and the European Union is looking at it, is putting money on it, and we will see cable system where the money will come not from the OTTs. And the OTTs, they will slow their spending because they have already invested.
Yeah, we clearly saw this, the planning within the EU already. I think it started in 2013. Finally, they said, yes, let's do this in 2018, December. And then last year, we finally got that they said, okay, let's move with the investments. Let's move with the digitization of Europe. And even now, I mean, that there was also COVID was part of it, because we see more people smart working, we see more demand, and it's sort of a bit more greener, right? Although on the data center, we can discuss this again, but we see this digitization coming through, and I'm happy that the EU really, released, let's say, that money already, and it wants to release even more money for these kind of investment, because it's so needed, and the demand is there. So why not, right? So, Augusto.
Well, we totally agree on the kind of investment that. Yeah.
Kind of, huh? Did you hear it? Kind of.
The thing is, actually, we have been seeing, as you were saying, Europe putting the dollars where we think actually they should be put. We have seen several, even from the European Investment Bank, not only from the European Commission, but also other sources of funding that are putting forward this idea that maybe some of these investments should be state participated, because, like I was saying, we were talking about Africa. Africa for Portugal is absolutely strategical. If we think about what's going to happen in what many people are not seeing, but what will be actually the metaverse, which is the virtualization of entire markets, either we have the capacity to bring to our, and we are in Portugal, so excuse me, but bring to our language the commercial capacity, the offer, the scientific offer, the capacity that we have to assure that we have in the connectivity system to actually have data for very low cost in terms of state. The scientific data, which is a huge part of the traffic that we have in several systems, even for instance in Portugal, that is for sure true, but that if it's not assured by state-funded or partially state-funded infrastructures, how we will manage to assure that we will have it when we need it. Well, I'm not talking even about security and defense, but
no, absolutely. I mean, we can talk about that as well. But just look, just in COVID, show that a country like Germany, and everybody thinks, yeah, but everything is fantastic there. They were sort of crap in the complete, from whatever cable to internet to whatever. They saw the problem. And that's what I said, that accelerated as well the decision of last year, May, June, so a year ago actually, to release those funds. But you're right, also on the investment bank side, so nothing from the Commission, but on the investment side from Europe, it's also, yeah, no, and we see actually we're on the verge also in Italy of some very large investments coming in, and they're talking about it. So it's that. Putting the money actually there, because it is mission critical for governments. It has been shown, and I'm not sure that the bigger stake they take in this one, it will be better run. Let's talk about Alitalia. You never know, but so it's not always the best choice how to operate and to run, but the blessing from a government which comes over, let's say, submarine, cables, dry, wet, whatever you want, is already a very important step, and that the money is put to the work. So it's already quite a big achievement that we overcome. And yeah, being 20 years sort of silent on the investment and doing nothing, again, we have the catalyst we saw it to move ahead geopolitically, health-wise, and just intelligence, guys.
And if you see it, actually, it's not only the European Investment Bank or banks in general. When you see funds, equity funds and other kind of funds coming and investing in this kind of infrastructure, they tell you something. Also that in Portugal, for instance, with this new governmental model that we have started just a couple of months ago, you can see that connectivity and digital transformation is now under the first minister. It's not even in a ministry, it's under the first minister.
Yeah, no, the importance, the mission critical aspect of it came in. Diego.
Yeah, to the point, you mentioned the digital recovery plan for the COVID and so on. When I was speaking, because we was talking about the involvement of government or European community or US or so on, I was specifically addressing the submarine cables, meaning that they are totally separate from the digital recovery plan. There are in European Union specialized division under DG Connect that are financing new international gateways, better resiliencies, new routes. Those are the three directions where they are not involved, but they look for the best competition in terms of proposal, efficiency, economical efficiency project. So that I believe is a very good model. And that is what I wanted to say very specifically.
Because it's a very important part of the puzzle.
Yes,
that's what it is.
That is far different from the national recovery plan, where
absolutely
you just pull fiber at home, let's say.
Yeah, but I put my traffic to the landing station, and then what? It needs to become wet, right?
And also regarding the business model, is interesting to see that the fund are investing on the dry part. You don't see fund investing on the wet. You see you see loans to the wet, but you don't see purchase of the wet systems. Instead, instead on the dry, you see funds, Asterio, for instance, that purchase that. They purchase the dry asset in order to get the money for the national recovery plan and valorize and having a long-term plan to remunerate their capital. So this leads also to the fact that cables are not very
not so profitable.
Not so profitable.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But
please, Carlos.
Just to complement the idea of cables not being profitable and the idea that we need to interconnect the world and we need to interconnect sometimes small regions, and we have a case like that in Portugal, connecting the mainland with Azores and Madeira, are projects that are for sure you will never see profitable being one of the variables, but you need to do it. You need to serve people. And I was amazed when I was in a conference in Singapore with all the experience that they have in the Pacific, because in the Pacific you have this problem times 1,000. There are islands everywhere, and sometimes you need to serve a fisherman community with 20.
Like
yeah, they are not so close as we are.
Indonesia has 17,000 islands.
Yeah,
only one country.
Yeah,
that's one country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to shape the landscape.
Absolutely, and they have found ways to really make these humanitarian projects and make it work. So I believe that also on that field we will see more and more investment coming from being the European community, being other agencies, really to promote less digital divide. I believe.
Well, just a quick one, and then we go to Agos. I think that if you look at the Azores, I think the US, they have quite an interest in that. They should pay as well, right? I'm just putting something in the, a coin somewhere. But
they pay.
Enough? I don't think so. I was
actually the United States are very interested in Azores and also in the cable infrastructure. We've been seeing very strong signs about the higher level of preoccupation that suddenly the security of the cables is having. But it's very interesting when we We say that actually cables are not profitable, but they are necessary. Well, what's necessary brings us capacity and especially potential. And the thing is, what we are seeing as well happening, that's good, it's that we are starting to value financially the potential. So the idea is, if you value a country or the country assets, connectivity, independent of the capacity that is having in each moment, creates a potential, and that potential is having a value. And you can see it in several attempts yet at the innovation level of creating even cryptocurrency based on this potential to be actually traded. We have learned something with metaverse. This is much more tangible. So if it's possible in the metaverse here, it's much more possible. And we are seeing several movements creating this value calculation capacity to provide transactionable assets as potential and capacity for each country, its region, etc.
Okay.
And just a
Yes.
comment also about Azores, and as it was mentioned on PTC, so capacity of new cables are increasing and increasing, new technologies, new capacities, new ways of modulation, everything, and we are started talking about cables of 1 peta. Why not? And one of the main difficulties is really to cover all the distance without having midpoints to really regenerate and treat the signal again. So basically, a source could play a major role in that strategy, and I believe we should be also working together as a task force, being with providers, with cable owners, with cable promoters, to understand better the strategic value that we have with an island in the exact center of the Atlantic.
Okay. Any questions actually from, are you sleeping already or not? Wake up, guys. There is coffee later on, but we still have a couple of minutes. So I would give you also the opportunity to ask something to the panelists if you have. Do you have any questions? No? They want coffee, you know.
It's coffee time.
Pastries and these. That's why they're here, you know, on these congresses. Anyway, scoping a bit the future, gentlemen, because we face actually what's going on there, what is currently changing, how are things moving with the investments, how are the business models changing. So I want to go, let's say, actually to the last one, and you mentioned it already, but so I'll give you the last one. I first want to go to Diego. Diego, what's out there? What can we expect? What is the future? I'm not asking you for your glass ball predictions, but what do you see is heading towards us, and what should we look out for?
In fact, I've touched by fragment. Sorry. I touched by fragment this topic about the volumes, that someone know exactly the volumes, the type of business, and so on. I still would like to go back to the topic of the culture. If we want to shape the future of the system, we need to generate a new generation of people that understand.
Not old school anymore.
And Google did the school in Finland 3 years. But there is no single effort. This was raised loudly at PTC by everybody in the last 2 PTC, that if we wanted to ensure that this industry lasts, grow, and is maintained, we really need to have a new generation that doesn't exist today. That's one point. On the future of the system, I mean, it's very well written from the technology point of view. We will have very soon the G977.1 standard that will further push the open cables, meaning that who builds the cable will be totally independent from the fiber. So consortium were built also to ensure that what was in the fiber, in the commissioning and the acceptance, was exactly what the manufacturer was expecting. Now, decoupling the manufacturer of the modem and the cable, you need to have a common understanding. So this standard will further helps to have better modems, so more capacity per fiber, even going beyond the Shannon. That's for sure from the technical point of view. From the traffic point of view, the traffic is what has been depicted. Probably they will surprise us even better. Traffic until today never betrayed the expectation. It was always over the expectation.
And the other way around, the expectation was never betrayed.
Yes.
Right? And we saw that. Thank you.
Thank
you. Augusto, what do you see is coming? What should we look out for?
Well, other than what technology can bring us about capacity, I would say that actually when I was still a kid when popcorn appeared on the movies, on the cinemas.
It was last year.
Yeah, in Portugal. So I was very amazed when I understood that actually the cinema industry was gaining more from popcorn than from the movie. When we talk about cables, we talk about something that is there that can be extra value other than the main thing that was supposed to produce. And I'm talking about censoring cables. I'm talking about integrating cables in new multi-layered infrastructures. Like I say, when I look to a solar, I actually don't see a triangle as usually is shown. I see more a cobblestone, a triangular cobblestone. Because what I see there is a capacity that goes from the bottom of the sea to the high layer of satellite capacity. And I can see that all connected in networks then can provide data, can provide the digitalization of the sea, can bring us new scientific approaches, new scientific hubs, new, we were talking about education. Under Europe, we have the digital compass that allows us to bring funds to produce that education. So it's a little bit about the industry itself to aggregate those funds and have academy or something that I would say Portugal is very well positioned to have.
But the bureaucracy to get those funds, it's enormous, it's huge. I saw all those processes. Guys,
I know, yes, I know, but what's the other option? I mean, the industry itself can provide the money for it, but then we would have to aggregate all that capacity and bring it up together. But it's another option that is viable, I think, or a mix, something that we start with your own funds and then you wait for the funds that will. Well, anyway, the thing is.
Well, if they keep the interest rates low at zero, I mean, it's free cash, so then we can do it. Otherwise, no way. But they're increasing because of inflation, so we have to. So it is. So thank you, Augusto. So Carlos, first of all, thank you and congratulations on your keynote presentation. But also, you have the last famous words for this morning opening session. So the floor is yours.
Okay, and, thank you so much.
What is out there? What can we expect? And what's your vision?
Well. My colleagues already covered two very important points, and well, Diego mentioned several times talent and new generation coming to this market. I believe it's for sure
so
a driver that we need.
So we all can go home now. We have to wait for the new generation. Or what?
We can finally.
I'm
retire.
Here to stay. Arthur, you want to stay as well, right? Yeah, there you go.
For years and years.
We just tell them that we changed, right? We changed. Please.
But in my point of view, what we will see in the future of the world is really the submarine cables being more of a mesh configuration, data really spread around the globe, you know, less importance from what is currently the top main locations and the top hubs of the world, and really a more diverse routes in every direction. OTTs are really promoting large capacities. The truth is there are OTTs, there are private investors, there are funds, there are a multitude of players that will for sure change the landscape of this market. There's no doubt that we are really living interesting times. It's absolutely a moment in time where we are seeing the business expansion, the capacity expansion, the new markets arriving. So the world is moving at such a fantastic speed.
I mean, next to pharmacy, because we know those guys, they make the money. But to be in a double-digit growth industry, it's not a bad thing. Huh?
Yeah,
It's not a bad thing.
you
Huh?
need to be with us. Yeah, that's
So
that's
we're gonna stay. Huh? We old guys, we're gonna stay.
But basically that would be my point. Really interesting times, really new configurations, new routes, new locations. In my point of view, the density points that you are seeing right now will tend to fade away in the future, or at least be less important as you distribute information. and
You're just
capacity in
talking
all
about
directions.
Marseille, yeah? That Marseille is going down and this one is going up, right?
No, or even better, Frankfurt and Lisbon.
There you go. There
Well then, so thank you for this opportunity, and thank you so much, Eric, also. And it was fantastic. I hope everybody is looking crazy for a coffee. So
Thank you very much, Carlo, and thank you for sponsoring the session with Equinix. Thank you so much, Diego. Always having a pleasure to have you on one of my panels from Lead, and Augusta from Anacom. Thank you so much for your overview, because this is exactly what we need, and to understand which way it is going and what we should do. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, you can have your coffee now. Get the hell out of here now. Thank you.